Welcome back. And now it's time for the conversation I earlier on promised you, emotional intelligence for school-going children. And my experts are here in studio with me. On my immediate left, I have Nana Kimemie, who is an EQ consultant with Premier Training Services. And on the other side, I have Judy Mbuba, who is a certified EQ practitioner and mediator with Premier Training Services. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay.
Nana, what is emotional intelligence and what are its elements?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Emotional intelligence, in a nutshell, emotional intelligence is where one is aware of their emotions. They're aware of what they feel. And not only are they aware, but they're able to manage themselves. And when they're able to manage themselves, they're able to then adapt to the environment so that they can be able to achieve the goals. The one thing that is constantly changing is the environment that you're placed in. And so emotional intelligence, we come in to say that you're one person that you're able to understand who you are, your feelings, and you're able to understand the feeling of others so that you can be able to interpret, you can be able to discern, and you can be able to adapt to the environment that you're in at the moment, so that you can achieve every goal that you desire to achieve. Yes, that is emotional intelligence.
You understand your emotions and others' emotions.
And others' emotions.
The key elements.
The key elements. All right. The initial studies for emotional intelligence was by a gentleman called Goleman, and there are 5 elements that he started with. He said, emotional intelligence, you must be able, number 1, to understand yourself. You have to be aware of who you are. You have to be aware about your emotions, why you feel the things that you feel, when you feel them, because sometimes you feel things and you don't even know that you're feeling them. So you must be aware of your feelings. Secondly, after you're aware of your feelings, you must be able to manage them. You know, if I know that when I see someone who is dark, I don't like dark people, that already, I should be able, if I am aware that that is me, then immediately, even before I meet the person, or if I see them there, I should be able to then manage myself so that I cannot portray myself as in the wrong manner. So first is self-awareness. Secondly is management. Now, people who are aware and they can be able to manage themselves, they are motivated. Do you know why? Because it doesn't matter what you meet. You already know who you are. You already know how you can manage yourself. So no matter what comes your way, you are able to deal with it. You are motivated. You are aware of who you are. Case for example, I was telling my colleague here, one of the things that I know I don't do very well is going to the gym. I know who I am. When it comes to going to the gym, there are some emotions that I can't handle when I go to a gym. So guess what I do? I park my car in the house, I walk. I know who I am. I don't try to fit in with everyone. I understand who I am, and I'm able to manage myself, and I'm motivated to do the things that I do. I walk a lot. I climb up the stairs, because then that is the way I know I can actually train myself. Yeah, but if I try to go to the gym like every other person, I will fail. So self-awareness, self-management, you get to be motivated. But if you remember my definition, I told you that emotional intelligence is being aware of yourself and the other person. So what happens, the 4th element, is that you have empathy. Now, empathy is not a sign of weakness. Empathy is being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and feel the things that the other person is feeling without necessarily being sucked up to their world. Yeah, that is a very key element, being able to feel what other people are feeling. And that's the 4th element of emotional intelligence. And the 5th is social skills, which we all know. We need social skills to be able to deal with people, to talk to people, to be able to manage ourselves, leadership. We need social skills, communication, effective communication. Yeah. So that's what Daniel Goleman says. Those are the 5 elements of emotional intelligence. But that's not the only definition. There's also another definition.
So, Judy? We work with an organization called the 6 Seconds. It's an emotional intelligence network. So what happens is, with the theories and the understanding that we got in the 1990s from the Golemans, it was more about study. And I think these days we ask ourselves, how can we make this more applicable? How can we make it more trendy and up-to-date to what we're having and experiencing in this century? So what the 6 Seconds network does, it develops tools that are able to be applied in organizations and in schools as well. And in this example now, how they model the elements that were traditionally taught of emotional intelligence is through a KCG model, which means know yourself, choose yourself, and give yourself.
Ah,
know yourself,
know
just
yourself.
the way Nana has explained,
Yes.
is about awareness. How well do you know what you're going through? And one of the key examples in that is how well we can identify our emotions. When you're going through a tantrum, how can you identify that you're not angry? How can you name that feeling that you're going through? And our vocabulary of our literacy in terms of emotional literacy is very limited. And many of us don't know how to express ourselves other than saying, I'm happy, I'm angry, I'm very sad, and etc. But you'll be surprised that there are 1,000 ways in which you can name a feeling. And one of the ways in which you can develop your emotional literacy is to be able to just identify through this wide range of vocabulary, what am I feeling? And the minute you're able to identify what you're feeling, you're able to control or manage that feeling, which now comes into self-management.
Sure.
So that's pretty much it about knowing yourself and just understanding what you're going through. The second bit is about choose yourself.
Yes.
Choose yourself now just related to self-management. Choosing yourself is more on the decisions that you make. How cognizant are you of the decisions that you're making in life? And what path are you taking? We're not saying that there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. We're just saying that since you know yourself, you're able to choose your direction. You're able to choose what you want and be able to choose how you're going to relate with other people.
Sure.
The second bit is about giving yourself.
Giving yourself, yes.
We don't want people who are cast in stone or things that are cast in stone. You need to be able to give yourself to the things that are noble to you. And therefore, you need to be able to pursue noble goals, or you need to be able to pursue purpose that is relevant to how you have identified yourself, how you've known yourself, and how you've chosen the direction that you're going to.
Yes.
So the third bit becomes giving yourself. And a good example of this is through the Wangari Maathai Foundation, or even through what Wangari Maathai has been. She's been able to give herself in a very simple way of planting trees.
Sure.
And that has been her noble goal. Every time she talks, and
She
we
says
know
it's the
that
little
this
things.
is
Yes.
this is the little thing that I can do,
exactly.
is to plant trees. And that is her noble goal. So look at your life, be able to understand yourself, and be able to pursue a noble goal is all about emotional intelligence.
So it's know yourself, choose yourself, and give yourself.
And give yourself.
And Nana, you raised an issue of going to the gym. I think we're on the same boat when it comes to that, because for the longest time ever, I have tried to go to the gym, but well, it hasn't worked.
Yes.
So the conversation today is for school-going children, right?
Yes.
So how crucial is it for the young, for them to have the emotional intelligence?
I would say very, very crucial. School-going children, more than anything, need emotional intelligence, the social intelligence that they need to be able to cope with the changing world and the changing, the dynamics of this environment. I think right now more than ever before, the kids, whatever they face right now is much worse than when I was a child, and I shall not say my age. But yes, it was whatever they are coping with right now. And so emotional intelligence is important, because then we are talking, it's not just emotional intelligence, it's social emotional intelligence. For them to develop skills that are able to make them adapt to the environment where they are right now. And wherever we take them, they're able to adapt to that environment. So yes, it is crucial and very crucial. Yeah.
Very crucial.
Very
So how do you tell your child is emotionally stable?
How do you tell?
Yes.
I like the example that she's given. When you throw a tantrum, identifying, can I give an example?
Certainly.
Yeah, last week, I think it was last week, I do have an 11-year-old, and she came home very depressed because she had been told to do a punishment. And the punishment was to write a composition. And the composition, she has to stand in front of the whole school and read it to the whole school. And when she came home, she was like, Mom, these guys, they are very unfair. I was like, why was the teacher unfair? So when I got to asking her, I understood. And I asked her, so I sat her down and I told her, I know you're feeling like people are being unfair to you, but tell me something. When the teacher walked in, who did she find talking? She said, it was me. I was like, okay, so it's not that she was really on a bad... I know so many children are talking before you, but you are the last person, so it's not her fault. She said, yes. But now I have to write a composition. I told her, yes. you have written this composition so many times, so just go and write the composition. And she went. I told her, it is so easy. In fact, what I told her, when you write this composition, talk about how you love your school because of the way they give you strict rules, and they're able to discipline you. And I told her to give that example, and by the time we were done, she had written that composition, and she stood there, and she actually presented to us in the house first. And that's what I'm talking about, being able to show a child and to cause them to manage the waters of the changing environment and whatever it is that they face. It is very important. It is very important. It is crucial right now, and every school, as I speak right now, should be able to incorporate life skills, should be able to incorporate social, emotional intelligence in their curriculum, because that is the way a child is able to grow. The unrest, there has been studies by 6 Seconds that prove that when you introduce social, emotional learning, a child is able to thrive. A child is able to become everything that they desire to become, because they have understood themselves. They know what their strengths, they know what their weaknesses are. They're able to thrive in their relationships between them and the teacher, them and the peers, them and the administrators, and them and their parents.
Certainly.
It becomes an all-round thing.
Yes. And of course, we will be talking more about the new curriculum in a few minutes from now. But Judy, how do you, if one is emotionally stable, then how does this help them cope with, for instance, performance challenges in schools, especially for young children? How does it help them?
Mostly what we look at in terms of emotional intelligence related to schools is we've developed, or rather there's a developed tool called social emotional learning. So how they're able to adapt with these challenges that they're going through is that, one, they're able to be more empathetic towards what they're going through, and even other students are able to be more empathetic to them in how they're relating. You don't have to bully. It really helps with bullying. And when you talk about performance challenges, we're looking at how decisions are being made by children. How well are your children making decisions? And this is not something you learn in the textbooks. So we have to really integrate in our school curriculum, how well are decisions being made? How well are our children making decisions by themselves? How well are they choosing this over the other? Because these are the things that will lead to them performing better and them showing up better and them being able to manage themselves better. Another performance challenge that they go through is one of conflict resolution. I'll give a good example of the time we were in high school. We learned conflict resolution mechanisms, but right now if we were to ask how many of those methods we know, would probably go to, okay, let's say litigation and negotiation and things like that. But there's an escalation of how a conflict is actually meant to be solved. You start with negotiating, that's one-on-one. You go to mediation. That's you bring in someone else to help you solve your problem, but they won't give you the solution. They will insist on you getting the solution out of you. And then on and on to the next level. So this kind of way of solving conflicts really helps in terms of how children are able to perform in school. Because one-on-one, they will still go for that one-on-one. And then they'll still go for a mediated solution where it's up to them to make the decision. So those kind of small steps that we take with children are very important in terms of being able to manage their challenges.
Is it easier dealing with children, you know, because you've mentioned those in high school, but now let's talk about one in primary, a 6-year-old. Is it easier dealing with her?
I'd take that to Nana. Maybe she'll tell us that because she's a mother in the room.
Let us just say that with every age group, they have their own challenges. They have their own challenges because the kind of English that I'll use with a high schooler is not the same kind of English that I'll use with a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old. I have to get down to the level where where they will understand what I'm trying to say. And it might not really necessarily have to be complex. A simple thing that when a child is around 2 to 3 years, for them, everything that they want is a cry. So when you wake up and tell the child, use your words, what do you want to see? That way you're teaching them communication, not just speaking, communicating that there is a better way to want what I need, to ask for what I need. I don't need to scream, I don't need to shout. I And I find that most of us, especially as parents, we don't really emphasize or really see the need of it. But at that tender age, yeah, you know, one of the things that Premier Training Services, when you look at their profile, especially because of the conference that is coming, there's a saying that they've put there, a Swahili saying. They said, samaki mkunje angali mbichi.
Sure.
Meaning that from the time a child is young, as a parent, you have to be able to mold intelligences in them. And it might not be as escalated as when they're in high school, but from that time, when you tell a child, speak, tell me what you want, tell me what you want. And with time, you realize they're not just developing the art of speaking, but they're developing the art of communication, which is key. A very key social skill for someone who is emotionally intelligent. Even right now as grown-ups, we find so many grown-ups who cannot communicate. They cannot say what they want. They cannot say what they need. And that's why you even find unrest in high schools, because of the art of communication. But when you realize that as a child that age, you must be able to instill, communicate. Even if they're angry, communicate. And you know, I like what she said. There is a myriad of ways to explain how you feel. One of the common ones we use in Kenya is, I felt bad. And I ask guys, what does it mean to feel bad? Were you disappointed? Were you unhappy? Were you angry? Were you disillusioned? What exactly were you feeling?
I felt bad.
And when I train, I tell guys, you need to wake up and explain and put a description to the emotion that you're feeling right now. And that's what emotional intelligence is all about, where you can be able to say, I don't feel bad, I am disappointed, I am unhappy, I am angry, I am, you know, livid. Call it whatever you want, but yes, that is what we are saying.
And I think it's important to instill that in our children from the time they're really young. And I like what you did with your daughter earlier on, the way you mentioned about the letter in the school. Now let's talk about the new curriculum. Now it was rolled out by the Education CS, Amina Mohammed, this month, January. So I want us to do a comparison between the new curriculum and the old curriculum. In the new curriculum, they have subjects, the normal subjects, and also moral and life skills. So which one between this new one and the old one do you feel supports more of the, you know, emotional intelligence in children? Judy?
Of course, I'd go with the new one.
New curriculum.
Yeah, new curriculum. New curriculum takes it home because of the life skills bit. We've skipped life skills. We've overly focused on cognitive skills and performance tests and etc., the academics and all that. But the life skills bit is what every student should be able to go through from the time that they're 2 years old and throughout high school and until university. The new curriculum takes it.
Do you think there's anything more they can do?
At least because now they're still trying to improve on it. But the length, the concept of it is very good. I'd really put a thumbs up to it. The concept of it is really good. One of the first things I like about it is because of the continuous assessment test. It's not, your performance will not be based on one test. And I think that is something that we've complained over since we were in 844 and all that. But 844 was still a good system. Let's not just disregard it that way. But this is improved, and we need all that improved things in our time. So the continuous assessment test, that is very important. And the key to that is that it develops our ability in terms of dealing with what we seem to call as failure, right? Because one test, you will know what you did wrong, and the next one, you'll have a chance to improve, and you'll improve on it, and the next one, and the next one. It's not only going to be based on one. So what that does also is to reduce the level of stress in schools, because they're not really anxious and overly expectant on one exam. The next bit I think I like about it is the student-to-teacher ratio that we're going to be looking at. And the fact that it's going to reduce will enable teachers to be mentors to the students. And there'll be a lot more communication, which is what we're talking about. Building empathy will be very key at that time. Conflict resolution will be very key and helpful in terms of just managing this when we have a lower student-to-teacher ratio. And conflict, as in a lot of other things will be able to come out through this, because that relationship between the teacher and the student is very important in our children's life.
Yes.
And as well as the parents, the parental involvement in the new curriculum is also very important because it makes it practical. Whatever the child is learning at school does not remain at schools, it comes at home. The parent has input to it. We've had a lot of parents wondering, okay, what is this? How do I handle this? But I think the fact that they're going back and reviewing and trying to model this 2663
yes.
curriculum is very important, and
Yes.
I like it that they're going to look at it again, because the only bit about it is just the implementation part. That's the only struggle that we're going to have.
Yeah.
But the concept of it is very helpful because it focuses on life skills, and these life skills that are going to be taught are mainly going to help us with our emotional intelligence.
Certainly.
And we know that the key things about emotional intelligence is that emotions drive performance. Emotions drive people, and people drive performance. So that cuts across everything. When the child is very small, when the child is in their own career and they're developing whatever, emotions drive people, and people drive performance.
Yeah.
Once we're able to understand that, we'll be able to unlock a lot of other things that we are facing as challenges in our country. Yes.
Now, I'm not about to reveal my age, but does it mean those of us who went through the 844 system did miss out on something?
No.
It does?
It does.
It doesn't?
Okay. It means that we still have a chance. You know, we're
We
always...
still have a chance.
We still
Thank
have
you.
a chance. We still have hope because we're always learning.
Yes,
And
yes.
the thing about emotional intelligence and life skills is that emotional intelligence is a skill. It's a skill.
learn.
It's
Yes.
not something you're born with.
You're not born with it,
You
certainly.
need to, it's a muscle that you need to exercise
Yes.
every other day because
Yes.
you're asking yourself questions. You want to be aware of the feelings that you're going through. So we have like so many other years to come by. And the good thing about it is that the 6 Seconds Network also has a lot of research that they've done also in Africa. They have a State of the Heart report where they say that, okay, yes, most of the emotionally intelligent people tend to be way older. But that doesn't mean that a young person does not have, like on a very narrow basis, it doesn't mean that a young person does not have a high emotional intelligence than an older person. But in terms of a big demographic statistics, emotional intelligence tends to be more in the older people. So we still have a long way to go.
Certainly.
We still have a long way to go.
A long way to
Yes.
go. Now, as we wind up, in about a month's time, the 21st of February, the EQ conference is coming up, right?
Yes.
So maybe you could tell us more about it. Where will it take place? What is it all about?
Okay.
Yes.
So the EQ conference is going to happen at the Gem Suits Hotel, that's on Riverside. And the basics, the whole model of the EQ conference is, one, the first day is measured on education, and the second day is measured on organizations. So the first bit of education, at least we've talked about it right now. The good thing about it is that the 6 Seconds Network has worked on a pilot program in Kenya that's already ongoing in 2 schools, 2 in Kisumu and other 2 in Masai Mara. And this is together with the Wangari Maathai Foundation. So in this conference, we're going to have, on the first day, we're going to be dealing with education. We're going to see a pilot program, and we're going to be more enlightened on how exactly has it worked and what are they doing to change it. We're going to have speakers from NEC, Kenya National Examination of Council. Sorry. And then we're also going to have speakers from the curriculum.
Yes.
We're also going to have the Ministry of Education with us on that day. So it's a very important day to be able to just understand, okay, this new curriculum that we're adopting, how are we going to be able to improve on the life skills, and especially what is the impact of emotional intelligence in this. So the first day is really majored on education, and we really want to invite a lot of schools to come, a lot of administrators, school administrators come. Parents, you're very much welcome to these sessions, and we really want this to be able to be feedback for the nation, and a way in which we're going to drive our young children to be able to understand what new skills do we need to develop in our children. The second day is about organizations. Like I said, emotions drive people, people drive performance.
Certainly.
So that's the theme of the second day, organizations. What is the impact of EQ across our career industry, across our corporate? How are we dealing with these problems in terms of trust? That's a very big element in terms of corporate, or rather organizations. How are we dealing with the challenges that we are having in terms of leadership and vision, and so many other things that we're going to be dealing with. So organizations that are looking towards being learning organizations, because we're also going into a trend of how is your organization always in a learning state. We're not saying that they're perfect, but how is your organization always in a learning state?
Sure.
So it's not about HR practitioners only. It cuts across the industry. We want accountants to come for the conference. We want salespersons to come for the conference. We want media people to come for the conference. We want non-profits to come for the conference. It's going to happen on the 20th to the 21st of February.
20th to the 21st, okay.
At the Gemstones.
Okay.
And for more, I think you can be able to look at our website. That's the pts.co.ke.
pts.co.ke.
pts.co.ke, and then to the EQ conference.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add, Nana, regarding the conference?
I'd like to encourage everyone, the kind of people that are coming to speak, including the Wangari Maathai Foundation, is also going to be represented in that place. And having come from also for quite some time being in the corporate world, I more than ever before, I'm going to be a strong ambassador for everyone in any organization, including the government business. Anyone in the government side also must be able to attend this conference so that they can see the things that we have, the performance issues, the corruption issues. I'm not saying this is the solution, but I do believe this is quite a big way to kind of eliminate and have an escalation, a drawdown, you know, of the things that the president wants to implement. So I would encourage people from all sectors to be able to come for the conference.
Sure.
Yes.
20th to 21st February at the Gemstones.
At the Gemstones.
You said.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that's pretty much it. 30 minutes is such a short time. Okay, so know yourself, choose yourself, give yourself.
Yes.
And some of the elements, you know, we had social skills, empathy, and I think that's a conversation that needs to continue. Well, for now, that has been the conversation that we've had, and of course, we will be back with the international news.